Welcome to episode 97 of the Nerds Social Club podcast. Once again, we are live on YouTube at 2 a.m. in the morning. If you are watching it, we invite you to get your comments in and join along with the show for as long as you can possibly stay up if you are in the UK. And obviously, if you're in America, just stay with us. Stay with us. Dip in and out the show if you don't want to watch the whole show. Dip in and out. Have it on in the background. Have a little listen and get involved when we're talking about stuff. Anything we're talking about or anything we're not talking about from the week. Try and keep it from the week. Don't go, lads, have you ever seen the Goonies? Because we do get the odd comment like that, like, lads, have you ever seen Dark Crystal? What are your thoughts on Jim Henson? He's a very good up-and-coming puppeteer. Just would like your thoughts on him. Fraggle Rock, yes or no?
Sounds like a Scouse Kermit.
No, I can actually do an amazing Kermit, by the way. Yeah. But it's like, hey everybody, this is Kermit. And I can sing in Kermit as well, which is amazing. I can sing, why do birds suddenly appear? Every time you are near. But I also transmit that to Glenn from Superstore. So it's like, why will no one pay any attention to me? Because that's what Glenn talks like. So I've got and then you just have to go down a notch and it's you go from being Kermit to being Yoda. Not quite, but Yoda's like the hate becomes fear, fear becomes something else becomes something else, and you can take over the entire universe. That did end up being Glenn.
We actually got it. So I don't think I told you. A couple of people in the Discord have started watching Superstore now, and they've all been like, "Oh, it's amazing!"
What a show! What a show!
It's spreading.
Yeah, it's amazing. Superstore is like one of the hidden gems, and what I love about Superstore is I think people will find it through Netflix and go back and back. But what I'm actually made up about is, whereas I missed out on all the buzz about Community when it finished, and just like them, because we live in like the world now where we there's a lot of stuff that pops up after the event. I do missing out on being part of something when it finishes, and so I was so delighted I was part of just being able to go on Twitter and just seeing like little things like the cast and crew talking about it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I missed out on all that on Community.
There's certain elements of like not just watching a show but being involved in it and seeing it on social media. I mean, you and I were watching obviously Star Wars Rebels in that final season and just seeing like Twitter like with people watching it was so much fun and stuff like that. And then WandaVision obviously is another good example of that. Like watching people watch Watchmen on a Sunday night on Twitter and everyone like, what is going on?
Watchmen we need another Watchmen. Watchmen was absolutely incredible show. Again, I think that's a show that's passed a lot of people by, and it was absolutely incredible. Like proper ahead of the curve when it comes to race relations in America. All that. Oh, it's incredible. Absolutely incredible show. But do you know what the mad thing about it is now? We get so much quality television that we don't have time to dwell a lot of the time, and that is why I like weekly shows. It's why I like weekly shows. I don't like binge watching anymore because it does feel like, and the problem with binge watching is that when something drops and it all comes out, you have to binge watch it because otherwise you
don't want it spoiled.
You get it, you'll get it spoiled by being on social media. So you feel like you have to, and then afterwards you just you go, what happened in episode what happens in episode 2 or whatever? Do you know what I mean? And
you lose all those nuances from the specific episodes.
You lose.
If we got to binge like a Falcon and the Winter Soldier, you lose that episode where like he first meets Isaiah Bradley and things like that. You know, like the importance of those conversations.
You gloss over it, don't you? You gloss over it and go, oh yeah, but what about this and what about that? And I think that's really important with content that is on every week. You can go and get a second watch, and you can take your time with it. And what we do is we end up watching. We fall into the YouTube rabbit holes and all that kind of thing, and we've got podcasts to have a chat about it ourselves. just get stuck into it. So I love it. But that's what I was going to say. There's that much television now that you're on to the next one before you like, you know what I mean? It's like, I remember when things well, I remember when things I remember when things like Cheers finished. I'm that old, but I remember like there was a real like loss, and I remember when like Friends finished and certain things, and I'm not quite old enough, but I remember how big an event when MASH finished. I don't know if you remember MASH.
That made me watch that.
Well, a lot of people will have seen the reruns and stuff. MASH was this comedy about doctors in the Vietnam War, but it had it was like one of them really bittersweet shows. And I think the last ever episode still holds the record for the most watched show in America. That isn't the Super Bowl. Do you know what I mean? Like it got like ridiculously high numbers, like 120 million people watched it or something. And so people absolutely love that, and still the people hold that because it was such an event in American television. Where you just
I was going to say, and the metrics for that time as well, like that was the thing to do, like tune in, because I'm sure like there wasn't the
you didn't have video.
Yeah.
You didn't have video for a start. So I mean, this I don't get me wrong, I never tuned in. I think it actually, but I just remember the hype about it and stuff. You don't quite get that now because we have, not only do we have so many shows, but we have so many channels as well, and there's so many other things to do.
So many different ways to watch things.
Yeah. But you don't get much event TV. But we always start the show talking about what we've been watching this week, and one of the things I did want to chat about very quickly was basically the event television in the UK at the moment. Now I don't know if you've watched this before, or you are. I'm sure you're aware of it because you're social media savvy and all the rest of it, and know all the trends and everything that's going on. You're like a Kardashian, Aaron. You're just on it all the way.
I try.
Okay, so Line of Duty. This is what I'm talking about, right? Line of Duty is just an absolute huge show in this country. It has gone absolutely through the roof. So before I get into it, is Line of Duty like? Has it touched anything in America? Is it anywhere? Is it on BBC America?
No, I haven't seen anything advertised for it. Sometimes some of the stuff that airs in the UK does come to the US, but it's not like that. You remember when we were growing up, like some of the stuff in the US didn't hit the UK until a couple of months later.
Like 6 months later.
Well, and it was that way with I know one of the stuff at Sky One was Gangs in New York. That's only just airing now. It's near the end of the season, but it's only just hit. Yeah, but that US cable TV shows.
Yeah, but what I would say about something like that is that's made for Sky make shows now for America, because I mean Sky have just made a film that's been Oscar nominated. That's where Sky are going. Sky are making TV and movies now, because they're slowly pulling away from sport. In fact, I believe this week they're going to lose one of the big boxing contracts because they're putting money now into TV.
Oh.
Yeah, because the way they look at it is that you make a TV show, it pulls people in, and you can also sell it to abroad. David Gibson saying it's on Netflix in America.
I'll have to check that.
But
David Gibson, thank you.
David Gibson is saying it's on Netflix. But Line of Duty is an incredible. It's probably the only event TV on here at the moment. It's in the 6th season. Anyone doesn't know, it's basically about the police anti-corruption unit in a sort of nondescript police station. It's supposed to be Birmingham, but never gets really mentioned. It gets filmed in Belfast, and in fact, in the last 2 seasons, there's been a particular part of it that's been set in Liverpool, and all the Liverpool landmarks are CGI'd into the background, and it works. But everyone, I remember when it first came on, and everyone was like, "Where's that? There's nowhere in Liverpool where you're on a hill, big enough hill to look down at the city centre." And people quickly realised it was like green screen, because it's all filmed in Belfast. But it's an incredible show, and what's amazing about it is it's like, I think there's season 7 episodes. That you know what the UK is like. We invented short limited seasons in this country.
It's our longest season ever.
Yeah,
it's 8 episodes.
You get like 6-7 episodes and all quality. But this started on BBC 2, It was on, and I can honestly say I've been watching it from the very beginning. I have been watching it from the beginning. You can go back and check my tweets from 2012 when I'm talking about it on my own. And it quickly
It doesn't scrub his Twitter.
No.
It's all there.
All right, I have to all the ones about Trump. I had to obviously, but it's become this incredible show because it's as I said, it's about anti-corruption, but it's not like when don't get me wrong, when you hear that you might go, oh, anti-corruption, big deal, internal affairs, but it's about links to organised crime, gangs, but it doesn't treat the viewer like they're an idiot. Like it'll come out with all kinds of terms and not explain what they are. They don't care. It's unapologetic about it all. And basically, so the first season went on, I'll say, because honestly, it's because they're so short, you could binge this whole thing in about 3 weeks because the seasons are so short. So it started, and then, at first it was like this one, first season, and then the second season come. And then what started happening is, as each season went along, you started to get all these connections to the other seasons.
Okay.
And now we're in season 6. Every episode, there's something, you go, is that person from episode 4, season 2? And they never explain it though. They never explain. You go, is that? So there's a character currently in it. I won't spoil who he is because in case anyone wants to watch it. But there's a character currently in it who was in it when he was a child, but he's in it as the same character, but in a completely different setting, and it's just got that kind of thing, and you're like, hang on, is that person who did that thing in season 1? And they're like, yeah, it is. Or someone will come on screen and do something, and they'll never go explain it, but you go, what? Like it's absolute. It's got its own Easter eggs, but they all matter.
So, and I was going to say, and it's trying to pay it off. So everything that's introduced is
So it's because it's about organized crime, and so basically it's about organized crime in the police, but there being someone like a mastermind behind it. And we're in season 6, and they still haven't given away who the mastermind is. It's not like every season they'll go, oh well, he was part of it, or he was part of it, or this character was part of it, or so and so's in on it, but not like the big guy. So, and they're not even telling the audience. They don't share it with the audience. Like they don't. Honestly, and that's.
So I'm guessing this person, because I'm looking at the comments and I'm seeing a lot of references to H.
H is. And see, I don't really want to get because I genuinely feel the scope for people to go back and watch it, because I know there's people in the comments who haven't watched it. There's genuine scope to go and watch it from the start. Someone I know went and watched it in literally about a week or 2 weeks. Because honestly, because they probably watched a couple of episodes a night.
So what is it, like an hour?
It's an hour, yeah. It's an hour. It's an hour long. It's an hour long, and it's just honestly. So I think it's got 2 episodes left. The last 2 episodes are finished on absolutely amazing cliffhangers, and honestly, the whole nation is just purely gripped by this show, which. It was off air for a couple of years, and it came back, and then the BBC did a whole rewatch from pretty much the start. And there's so many there's characters in it, but you're so suspicious when you watch it of every single character because the audience has been burnt so many times by characters thinking they were good or thinking they were bad. Even in this season, there's someone who's been in this season now all the way through it. You're like, don't like him. And last week he basically just flipped, and it's just mad. It's so good.
I was gonna say it sounds like it almost like that one of those big draws for Game of Thrones. When anyone would recommend Game of Thrones, it's amazing because you never know who's gonna live or die, who's good or bad. It constantly keeping you on your toes, and it sounds kind of
it's got 3 main characters in it. To the main guy, Hastings, who's the boss, and 2 who work under him. But because it's they're called AC-12, anti-corruption, and because it's a dead tight-knit unit, because obviously they're chasing police corruption, and it's just so good. It's so good. And so I would, if you're in America and you want something to watch, and don't get me wrong, it's not like it doesn't pander to anyone. It doesn't, there's acronyms all the way through it that you've probably just got to Google. Or I
was gonna say sometimes you got to stick with it, and like you don't necessarily need all the specific details to be able to get the full context of what's going on. You know what I mean?
The thing about it is, if you watch it from the start, you'll pick up the things, and by the time, pick up the phrases, and as it goes on, you'll get more of an understanding of it. But it's not one of those, like, and see, you mentioned before that Gangs of New York, which is shot in a certain way, and it's all a bit shiny, and there's loads of shooting and blood and blah blah blah, and it's made for like every audience. It's made in like this isn't made in like in a cinematic fashion. It looks like a TV show, and everyone's got like most of the characters in have got regional accents from the UK, so it's not putting like pretend London accents on, or it's not. It's just doing what it does, but it does it so well that it's just become this absolute like must watch TV. It's literally like. No, it's done boss numbers this week because of the episode, but it's the only must-watch TV in the UK at the moment, and I can't remember the last must-watch TV. Like sport is the only must-watch TV really in the UK. Well, it is, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Back in the day, you might have had things, I don't know, like Big Brother or some shit like that. But this is the only fictional TV show that you've got to watch, unless it was like Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and when the BBC gets onto something like this, they always do it like really, really well. Like I think of like The Night Manager with Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah, it's like that, but good.
Yeah.
So it's like The Night Manager, but not boring. I lasted 2 episodes on Night Manager, I must admit. I only watched it because Tom Hiddleston.
It was only like six episodes.
but 10 minutes was enough. It was so boring. I don't know. Maybe it got amazing. I don't know. Maybe he literally turned into Loki, and the woman in it turned into her character from Guardians of the Galaxy 2, or the character she plays in Tenet. I don't know. I just thought it was boring. No, it's honestly, so I literally haven't spoke about this show at all. And I just thought tonight I had to give a huge mention, because the last episode, if you've watched the show, obviously from the start, which everyone who's watching it will have, the last episode the ending was just absolutely unbelievable. Unbelievable, because it brought all these people together. And you know what? It's got some really good big stars in it, In the first season. And it had is it Lenny from The Walking Dead? Is it Lenny?
I don't even watch The Walking Dead.
Okay, so there was an English guy in The Walking Dead in like the first like episode or two, and he helped out Rick in the first episode, and he came back into it. What was his name? Hang on, see if I can find his name. Lenny James, who played a character called Morgan Jones. So he's in the first season. He's like the first season's the person you've got to sort of follow. In this season, it's got Kelly. I'm trying to think of her name. It's got Kelly. Let me think. Wait,
anyone in the comments can help him out.
No, I'm going to go through it now. I'm going. What's her second name?
Morgan?
No, Kelly McDonald. So she was in Trainspotting, and she was in Boardwalk Empire. Scottish actress. So she was the voice in Brave.
Oh, okay.
Who else was in it? You had Keely Hawes, who I don't know. She hasn't really gone into film. She's an amazing TV actress here. Did you watch It's a Sin?
No,
No,
fell
I
off
mean,
my radar.
I just literally told you to watch, told you how amazing it was, and you don't even follow through on my recommendations. Keely Hawes is Did you watch Ashes to Ashes?
What did you reckon?
I didn't. It's just an amazing program. That I thought you might. Did you watch Life on Mars?
No. I'm letting you down here. I know.
But you'll go out with your kids and play Pokemon. It's just absolutely incredible. Stephen Graham was in it.
Okay.
You know who Stephen Graham is, don't you?
Is he the one from?
Oh my god, it's incredible.
Why am I forgetting?
Oh my god.
Show he's in.
Yeah.
The one on Netflix. The one
on Netflix. The one what?
The space one. I'm struggling with.
No, he's not. He's not been to space. They don't put scousers in space.
Right.
He was in Snatch. He was in. Where else was he in? He's been in loads. He actually played Al Capone in Boardwalk Empire as well. He's been in quite a. Thingio loves him, doesn't he?
I know. Yes. I just need to see the face.
He's been in loads of stuff.
Yeah, he's been in absolutely tons of stuff.
Tandy Newton was in it.
Tandy Newton. Really?
She was in it. Yeah, she was in it. She was in one season. Honestly, it's got loads and loads of like actors who you'll recognise. Yeah. Especially from things like Black Mirror. Half of the Black Mirror cast have been in it. People from Game of Thrones are in it because they're all English. No, honestly, it's an amazing show. So that's my big recommendation of the week is to get into that from the start. Honestly, it's just such a good show. So if you haven't watched it and you're in England, get on iPlayer and watch it. Honestly, because 6-7 episode seasons, 6 seasons, you can blast it.
I was to say that's such an easy watch.
Yeah, it's such an easy watch, and it's once you get into it as well, it just hooks you because it is that thing every single week of there being something to grab you. So definitely watch that.
Add that onto my list.
No, put it at the top of your list.
At the top of
the
list.
There's not Marvel. There's nothing Marvel for a month now.
That's a really sad thing to say. But from my end, I watched 2 movies this week. I watched The Sound of Metal.
Okay. I thought you were going to say The Sound of Music then. And I was going to say, I've seen it, mate. In fact, I actually only seen that this year, The Sound of Music. Isn't that weird?
No.
I was literally just sitting there. I was like, what's all the fuss about this film?
Sitting there at the end like,
and I was watching it, I was like, that fella, that's not Christopher Plummer. It is. There you go.
Mum used to make us watch that film as kids. Despised it.
Fair enough.
But I watched The Sound of Metal, which is a movie about Riz Ahmed as a drummer who's on the road with his girlfriend, and they're basically in a band, and he's the drummer, and he starts to lose the hearing after one of his shows, and it just completely deteriorates until like he completely goes like not even like a little bit deaf here. You can get like hearing aids, like absolutely like
deaf. Do you know?
Like, yeah.
Do you know who that happened to? Real, genuine, true story.
Who?
Huey Lewis.
Really?
Yeah, completely deaf. That's why he doesn't. Do anything anymore. There you go.
I did not know.
No, well, most people don't. Yeah. But me and Huey are tight, so.
But yeah, this film was like a really interesting. It's a bit more of an indie film. I don't think it's going to be everyone's.
It's on Amazon here. It's on Amazon Prime here. It's an Amazon exclusive.
It's on Amazon Prime in the US as well. But the really interesting thing, the way they approach it, is like in the sound itself. Like, so you get the perspective of, I think the character's name is Ruben. You get the perspective of how he hears things as he goes through. So there's moments like there's not even like how most movies have like background music in to try and like score an emotional scene. Yeah. You just get these moments of just utter silence. Like you don't hear like he's out for walks and you don't hear like the birds and things like that. And it's all about like usually you when you have deaf characters in movies, it's some sort of uplifting like, hey, I'm a deaf character, I'll sign, but like I'm approaching life with a positive mental.
Is that how they introduce themselves? Hey, I'm a deaf character.
Yeah, I think that's
fair enough. Fair enough.
But Yeah, no, it's interesting because it's basically he has to go to this rehab facility, and they basically like, we need to teach you how to be deaf and to move on, because it's all that insecurity and kind of like battling with it as well. And he's an ex heroin addict, which obviously makes life harder, and it just kind of shows you some of these characters who have battled with deafness and like struggled with it and taken it out on their their bodies in a way. But Riz Ahmed was fantastic in it, and I think it's only on for like 2 hours, but it was a good watch. It's emotional. The end is very somber. It doesn't finish on a happy note.
I haven't seen it, but Riz Ahmed dies in everything, so I'm not holding out any hope for him, because he dies in literally Everything he's in. He's the new
Sean Bean.
Yeah, he's the new Sean Bean. He dies in everything he's in, so I'm not holding out any hope for him. He's good. I'm thinking of everything he's in. He dies in it. I think he died in Venom.
Rogue One.
Yeah,
died in Venom.
He died in Night Stalker.
Yeah.
He died. I think, did he die in Jason Bourne? I think he got shot a few times. So I don't know if you see if he died or not. He's the fair play to him. He didn't die in that TV show he was on. That was amazing, when he went to prison for murdering someone.
Oh yeah, no, he got out. Became an addict.
Became a crackhead.
I was going to say the other person who was in this genuinely surprised me is the girl from Ready Player One, who plays Artemis.
Oh, she's the English actress.
Yeah. Yeah, she was in this. So it was a very small.
Why are you genuinely surprised? Is she not allowed to be good because she was in a nerd film?
No, she completely changes her look. So when I saw her,
she's an actress. That's what she's supposed to do.
Oh, I fully accept that, but it's hearing a voice. You're like,
oh, she's got a different voice. If she didn't, she wouldn't be a very good actress, would she?
No, she has the same voice. But it's just one of those things when you hear someone like, why do I know that voice? That sounds familiar.
Because she's an actress and she's been in other things.
Taxi.
I'm the worst person for doing that. But I'm like, I go like IMDb. It like is gonna be my most visited app, and I'm always like,
best friend.
That's that person who was in thing. Yeah, and you're acted surprised. Like that's their job. That's that.
Oh, my wife gets irritated because we'll watch something. I'll grab my phone and she's like, "Stop it! Yeah. You don't need to know who it is or what they've been in."
No, I do.
I'm like, yes.
So go on. What was your other film?
I watched the movie Nobody.
Oh,
with,
okay.
Bob Odenkirk.
Who's who? If anyone doesn't know, he's Saul from Better Call Saul, isn't he?
He is. Yeah. But that was just a fantastic film. It's just one of those popcorn entertaining flicks. Like if you like John Wick.
Yeah, it's like John Wick, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But the thing I like about this is Bob Odenkirk. Like he's not like a big muscly fella. He's not like a fella in his like 30s with like chiseled jaw. Like he literally is just like, you see him on the streets, it'd just be your average Joe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but when he gets into the fight scenes and like you learn a bit about his backstory, like very, very briefly, everyone's like, no, we shouldn't be messing with this guy. And he basically gets into it with the Russian mob. And every time the Russian mob find out who he is, like some person who's got to research and they're like, I'm out, I don't want to do this. Like they're telling the Russian mob, like, no, we can't afford to mess with this guy. Like,
he must be a dude then. He
is. But yeah, the fight choreography is absolutely fantastic, and it like really entertaining. It's only like 90 minutes. It's a really easy watch.
Yeah.
Good film.
Calm Linders says, "Howdy lads, watched Lost in Space last year. Thought it was a good season. Any ideas when the new season is coming out?" I don't. I know it's got one more season, hasn't it? It's been confirmed. It's going to have a season 3. And it's going to finish on season 3. Lost in Space is a solid show.
Absolutely.
But it suffers from what we spoke about at the beginning of the show. I literally can't remember anything about what happened at the end of it. I know they were heading towards some kind of black hole or something at the end of season 2 or something. I don't remember. I just know there was something bad about to happen. And That's why.
I think they got off the planet.
Yeah, don't ruin it. Don't ruin it. Like, Yeah, something bad was about to happen, and I can't really remember because I literally watched the whole season in about 3 or 4 days, and it's good. Yeah. It's good, solid. Like, solid. Like, doesn't necessarily always hold your attention, but it's like one of those shows where you just watch it, but you might dip into your phone now and again, maybe. It's got kids in it, and they're not annoying. That's always a bonus. But I don't know when season 3 is going to be. But with COVID and everything, who knows? Who knows? You know what I mean?
I think there's some rumors I'm hearing it could be coming out this year. I've seen some uptick in activity on their Twitter.
Don't forget as well, Netflix tends to just give you about 2 weeks' notice. It doesn't really. It's not one of those channels where they build up for a long time. And also,
I was just say the only thing they do that with is they're really big.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It's not a big show, so they're not gonna come out and give you, like, you know what I mean. It's not a Stranger Things, so I've no idea, but it's a good show, and I'm sure it will come back soon. Yeah, soon enough. Just talking about that, some big Netflix shows. One piece of news this week is Mindhunter, which again is a show you should definitely be watching if you haven't watched it already. So there's been 2 seasons of Mindhunter. Basically, the show is about the FBI in the 70s, and it's about how they started to use psychological profiles to hunt serial killers, and the way they built up psychological profiles was going to see serial killers, and it's just this brilliant thing of like having an investigation. I think the one in the 2nd season certainly is a true life investigation as well. It's about all these kids getting murdered in Atlanta, and it's a true crime that's never been solved. All these kids going missing and no one.
I was going to say, is this the show where they've paralleled at the end, where they've shown them like, here's the TV investigation that we did for the show, but here's the actual real life interview? Because I've heard that there was a show where they were interviewing with some of the actual serial killers, like they show it at the end or something like that. Like,
I'll be honest, I can't remember, but just so that doesn't confuse anyone, it isn't a show. It's a pure fictional show. It's not one of these like docu shows. It's a real show, and it's got a really good cast. It's David Fincher, you know what I mean? So it's quality, but it cost a fortune because this will sound mad. Everything's CGI'd in it. So they film it properly, but they go back and CGI everything out of it and put everything 70s in it. So they literally go in and replace buildings and things like that. It's not green screen. They just literally go in and get rid of it. So they use like cars and stuff, but it costs quite a lot of money to make. And it's one of those shows that don't quite think hit like a big audience, but it's absolutely amazing television. You know, I mentioned it to people, and people just like, I've never heard that show. But it's in the show they interview like real well, not the real people, but they interview the serial killers from the 70s to find out what drove them and how they can go and catch them. And you know, like, if you've seen anything about serial killers, there's always that thing that serial killers love talking about what they've done. It's
horrible to say, but they take pride.
Yeah. It's one of the attributes of being sociopath is that they like talking about it and they like breaking it all down. So it's like this thing of like, there's a guy who's like a old ass FBI guy, and then there's a new FBI guy who's like comes in and goes, no, this is the way we should do things. We should be investigating. You know, it's one of those sorts of things where it's like, where you watch how solving crimes evolve. So, you know, you like things like where they used to just like all storm in to whoever been getting murdered, and they lose all the evidence and stuff like that because it's all been contaminated. It's so good. As Lester Corinthians in the comments has said there about, we said, have you seen Zodiac? I have seen Zodiac, and this show feels like Zodiac, but it feels like basically, you've seen Zodiac, right?
I have not.
Oh my god, you are awful tonight. You are seriously letting the side down tonight.
I am. I am.
Zodiac's amazing, and half of the MCU are in it.
Are they?
It's got Robert Downey Jr. in it. It's got Jake Gyllenhaal in it. It's got Mark Ruffalo in it.
Okay.
But so, do you know what the premise of Zodiac is?
I'm assuming it's based on a killer that's a Zodiac killer.
Well, it's a true story. The Zodiac killer in San Francisco was never caught.
Okay.
He was never caught. Right. Oh, Jesus Christ. This is what I have to work with. He was never caught. And basically, Jake Gyllenhaal's character is just a guy who works in the newspaper. He's just like a cartoonist. And he becomes fascinated. And he starts to try and solve it. And as he tries to solve it himself, he's getting like dangerously close. And anyone who basically touches it it consumes their life, and it takes over, and he gets in this very dangerous place where like the real killer's out there and the real killer could be coming for him. Do you know what I mean? It's really, really, it's all, again, it's the same kind of thing. It's like based on a lot of the true stuff.
Okay.
And I think it actually gets mentioned in this show. So yeah. So basically what happened was, anyway, after the end of the second season, they basically said when COVID hit, oh, we're putting it on, like, you know, we're going to suspend this now. So in other words, it was like, it's not coming back. But in the last week, apparently there's been talks with David Fincher, and it looks like it could be coming back. So obviously it would need to go away, and you need to write it. I believe the script's already done, but they'd obviously have to go and film it, so it probably wouldn't come out till next year. But honestly, it's sensational television. It's television that makes you think, and because it's based on all this real stuff, and it does have that element of how something was actually invented. So just like going from police just chasing the tails looking for people, it actually went to this real sciencey thing coming. Such a good show.
I'll have to watch it.
Yeah.
I was to say David Gibson in the comments said, yes, Zodiac is great, but I like 7 more, and I have seen 7.
I can't watch 7. Not with the end. No, not with that ending. I just can't watch it. It's honestly, I find it the same films that once I've watched them and I know, I can't watch them again because I just
like the Usual Suspects and things.
No, not really. No, the Usual Suspects I can watch because it's not got.
I struggle with that just because once you know, it's hard to not watch.
Yeah,
it,
yeah. But no, 7 I can't. 7 is too grotesque, and it doesn't get any lighter, and because of that, it's like it's too tough. And you when you watch something, you want the ups and downs, but you want ultimately to have a satisfying ending. That ending is just horrific, and I just can't bring myself to watch it again. So,
what's in the box?
Yeah. Zodiac's good. I don't think Zodiac's amazing. By the way, I think it's a good film, and I really like the idea of, again, it's based on a true story. Well, a real serial killer that was never found. So that gives that little hint of like mystery and what if and all that kind of thing. So, but Mindhunter's superb, really, really superb. So, go and watch it. Go and watch it. 2 seasons.
It's one of those things I've never been into before with the serial killer aspect, but I'll give it a go.
Well, I think about it is, I don't think I ever was massively, and I read a book called The Jigsaw Man, and it was about a guy who's basically it's his job to go in and work out crimes for the police. They bring him in, and he basically breaks down what a serial killer is from the clues, and it just fascinated me. The guy could work out all kinds, and he understood the path of how serial killers develop and the traits you look out for.
It's a big obsession, like over here as far as like true crime documentaries, as far as serial killers and things like that. Like I remember when Netflix was getting big with its like original programming, one of the first things I remember people talking about was the that true crime documentary that was on Netflix, the one where it was showing How to Make a Murder.
Oh yeah.
Everyone seemed to be talking about it at the time.
That reminds me, wasn't there supposed to be some big news coming out about that last week? Apparently, there was some big news coming out about that. I completely missed it. But...
What was that?
Yeah.
Like actual news about the case, because it was it was actually a real case, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was all a real case. Everything about it was a real case. But I don't know what the news was. No, it is fascinating because people want to know. People want to get into the minds of these people and understand what makes them tick.
Yeah.
But because something like this, Mindhunter, is not really like that. It's more about how it is about how they tick, but it's also about how you solve the crimes as well. It's really, really interesting. Really, really interesting. What else is going on? Come on, pick it up. Come on.
Well, moving from serial killers to other news this week. Let's just jump into the good news.
Come on then.
Shang-Chi dropped a trailer this week.
Mm-hmm.
A little surprising because they dropped the trailer ahead or like before Falcon and the Winter Soldier's finale episode, which I actually thought was a little strange. But I have a theory in relation to that. But I wanted to ask you, what did you think of the trailer, Pad?
I'll be honest, I just thought it was a solid trailer with I'll be honest with you, I'm not obviously, too familiar with the character. I'm not too familiar with him. So for me it is what it is, and the trailer looks good. You can tell it's Marvel pretty much because it's got like little glimpses, like things like the 10 rings and things like that. And there's we've had nods in the MCU about the 10 rings, and obviously we got them in the first ever one, Iron Man. We got the mention in Iron Man 3. We've had little glimmers, Ant-Man, stuff like that, just little nods to this huge organisation. And this is going to be the first one with deals with them, and it looks like it's a good mix of a little bit of fantasy, and the origin story of a character. It'll be interesting to see where it lands with audiences who again aren't too familiar with the character, but obviously, definitely gonna give it a chance and see what it is. Just like I think it is a bit like sort of like Doctor Strange or Ant-Man in a way, even though they're probably more familiar and have got like a little.
I was going to say Guardians of the Galaxy as well. I mean, when that came out, no one really knew that, and even in the comics, that was a very out there, obscure kind of like series and group of characters. You know what I mean? A lot of people who knew the characters were like, I can't believe Marvel is like the big space thing they're doing. Because I mean, they did this before, like Black Panther, before Captain Marvel. Like, Guardians of the Galaxy was a real big risk at the time.
Yeah. But there was something, I don't know about you, but obviously with Guardians of the Galaxy, there was something a bit more to it because of it was where it was based in space and different characters and stuff like that, and the person directing it and the music and everything. That first trailer really grabbed me. It really grabbed me. This didn't really grab me. It's just like, it is what it is, and obviously it's an origin story and we'll see where it goes. I'll go and see it, of course I will, and I'll give it every chance, and it'll be interesting to see such a big character like the Mandarin and the 10 Rings and organization, all that kind of thing, and their origins, and to see where they go. So yeah, I did think it was just a bit of a straightforward trailer.
Yeah, very very catchy Marvel trailer. It's nice that Marvel can drop these kind of things, and we're all like, yeah, that's bare minimum. That's what I expect from a Marvel trailer. But I mean, I'm excited about this one. This one really, really grabbed me, and I think it's interesting that they're bringing in some elements of mythical Chinese kind of stories and background in relation to it. Like when you see historical China, and you see, I think they're called the Wu dogs that usually sit outside Chinese buildings and things like that. So like, and it looks like they're actually coming to life. It looks like there's almost like dragons or something flying around in the background. So
Yeah.
It should. What this can do for kind of Marvel, expanding out that universe and not having it just always based in like, either the US or kind of like parts of Europe, is just expanding it out further. Obviously we had Wakanda as well. So, I like that they're taking, they're addressing this, and they're kind of, putting this movie out there. So it looks really good. But I think based on why they dropped this out before
Go on.
the finale of Falcon and the Winter Soldier is there could be a connection with one of these characters in the finale. But we can talk about that more at the end of the show when we talk about Falcon.
Okay, that's interesting. Someone said food dragons, wormy spoon.
Food dragons.
So there was the food. Was there the food lions as well? Are they called food lions as well? The other things. There were like big lions in them, wasn't it? That look like obviously the lions that you see statues of now, but they look like the real versions of them. But I don't know. I don't know whether they were.
I thought they were like woo dogs or something.
Woo dogs,
like
yeah, that might be. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know the real pronunciations, but no, it looked fine. It looked fine. Honestly, it looked like probably they didn't have a lot of. Well, I know it's finished and it's coming out in September, but maybe a lot of footage.
Food dogs.
Yeah, maybe a lot of footage is still in the special effects unit. You know what I mean? But I like the idea of a kid who, like, whereas like he's saying, you know, you've had 10 years and you've had 10 years to just do your own thing. Now it's time to come back to the fold. So, and he got...
I was going to say, it gives it that very Star Wars type element to it, as far as, you know, like you've got someone like Wenwu, who's the Mandarin, and then you've got like his son who like wants to be morally good and just and things like that. And he's fighting against his father's empire. And you've got those same kind of like beat for beats as far as like Star Wars goes. So, no, I think it looks really good. And, I think we should get some very interesting things. I've heard rumors of a certain character from the comics that is a larger than life being appearing in the movie, but I won't say anything because I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah, don't spoil it.
Just gonna leave it there. But yeah, no, solid.
Looks solid. I can't really say too much about it because I don't know enough about it to start theorizing about it. I know
minimal amounts about it.
I just know that, you know, it was a character that was invented around in the 70s to sort of be their Bruce Lee and benefit off that.
Well, I'm based. I've read some of the comics, but it's some of the more recent comics, and what I've heard is they've actually changed what the direction they're going with the movie based on how they're running it with the current comics as well. So, and listen. The original comics are very problematic.
Oh yeah. No,
absolutely borderline racist.
Well, Chinese stereotypes, isn't it? Simple as that.
Yeah. Like Shang-Chi's father was like Fu Manchu, and just the way they were depicted and drawn is just not great at all. But the recent comics are really good, and you see some of those elements in there as far as like the Shang-Chi's father created like this the 5 weapons society, and it's like you've got each of his offspring basically controls a power. Shang-Chi is master hand, so he's got the power of chi in his hand, almost like an Iron Fist, but better than Iron Fist because that Netflix show was terrible. But that's what I think, which is good about this one. This one, like, you know, it's got good representation in it as far as like, you know, a full Asian cast. The martial arts in it look absolutely solid. So it's going to be really entertaining to see it from that level. I loved what we saw on the bus, you know, how it mixes like with the beats of the drums at the same time. So, yeah, good trailer. I'm excited for it. And that comes out in September.
What? Go on then. What else is going on?
We did get some news around other shows as far as casting as it relates to Marvel. This week, so the lesser of the news on that, lower on the totem pole, was Hawkeye, as the Disney Plus show has finished filming. Jeremy Renner posted something on Instagram this week, so we should be getting now. I think it's initial filming, so I imagine they'll still have to go back for reshoots and things like that.
Yeah,
Disney shows always tend to do reshoots, but I think that's coming in the fall. I think we said. Good. There was also casting news for Marvel's Secret Invasion, the Disney Plus show.
Yes.
Olivia Colman and Amelia Clark are going to be cast in unknown roles. Now, I'm excited. I'm very excited about this one.
The best thing about Olivia Colman is anyone who's from the UK will have seen her in things like Peep Show, and will have seen her in the comedy she's in. I know, like, in the American audiences think she's, it's all
very
from
serious
very serious actor, and I think she's in The Crown now. But she was in like mad ass comedies in here for in this country for years, like, and she's brilliant. She's a brilliant comedic actress as well.
Yeah.
But she's been in like loads in this country. Before I think Broadchurch was probably, I don't know if that was her first serious acting job, but she's brilliant. But anyone but she can definitely play comedy brilliantly, and obviously she can play serious, so that's interesting as well. And Amelia Clark, obviously she obviously been in Game of Thrones. She's used to being in big shows, and she's actually had her own comic book produced in the last week or so, or it's getting produced. So that's good as well, because that means I always like, when people get cast and they're always like, oh, I've been reading all the comic books to investigate what my character is, and I always have roll my eyes for some of them, thinking, of course you'd have. Of course you'd have. Of course you've been reading comics.
Someone read it for you. And
but if she's actually had a comic book, she's written a comic book, then that means she loves comic books, which is great. That's a good start.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, that was good news to see.
That's good. That's good, because that, the stuff, again, the stuff that's happened in Falcon and Winter Soldier, that again could lead into that. Certain characters that got introduced could lead into that as well. So that's building out to be
Secret Invasion is going to be very, very good.
That's building out to be a really interesting show.
I mean, the comic for it was absolutely fantastic, because you're literally just reading the whole time, and you're like, the way it was written is constantly to have you guessing, like, essentially, like, you've got Skrulls invade, and you don't know who's a Skrull and who isn't, and it's to the point where you've got characters saying to humans, trying to think they're a Skrull. You find out humans who you thought were humans all along are Skrull. It's just mad. It's constantly got you guessing. So it's very good. I'm very excited about that one. So I'm curious to see who these two will end up playing, but I'll have to wait and see.
Bobby C, you're correct. MASH was the Korean War rather than the Vietnam War. It was before. Okay. And what else? What else? Come on, hit me.
Last little one from Marvel. Russell Crowe has been confirmed to be playing Zeus in Thor: Love and Thunder.
That's interesting. Like, again, I don't really know what's the relationship. I don't really know what the relationship is between Thor and Zeus. Obviously he's a god.
Yeah. Having read the whole God Butchered kind of storyline in the comics, there's no connection there with Zeus. Yeah. So obviously they've had an idea from somewhere, pulled them in, and I don't know. There is a whole pantheon of like Greek gods that do appear in Marvel. You've got obviously Zeus. You've got Hercules. You've got Ares. Ares actually featured in the Dark Avengers, which is kind of like a spin-off to the Thunderbolts. So there are that elements within Marvel, but how it attaches to Thor, I'm not particularly sure. Again, unless they're kind of like they did with Thor Ragnarok, you had Planet Hulk, mixed with Ragnarok. So maybe just
I don't really know enough. I just know he's a great actor and he'll be good in it. So that's good. Let's talk quickly about. So news dropped in the last couple of days. Weigh Me Spoons. I know who Zeus is, mate. I just don't know what he's. I just don't know what his what his role is in Marvel. I know he's like who he is. He's Hercules' dad. We all know this. We've all watched the cartoon. Isn't he Wonder Woman's dad as well? Yeah. There's news this week about, obviously we spoke about a couple of weeks ago about Netflix signing this deal with Sony, where we were like, what are Disney doing, letting this happen, letting Spider-Man the direct competition with the Spider-Man and everything. And it's come out this week that Disney have gone in there and signed a deal with Sony as well. And it's quite complicated, this deal, isn't it?
It is.
So basically, Netflix get the Sony films when they have had their theatrical run. They go straight onto Netflix. That'll be the home for them. But once a certain time elapses, which is around 9 months, so basically the same amount of time it takes a movie to get like to Sky Movies in the UK, that kind of time frame, that those films will then be available to go on Disney Plus, because Netflix don't have an exclusive overarching contract. It's just this initial contract, and then they're going to go on Disney Plus and sit on Disney Plus. So Disney Plus are going to get all the Spider-Man films, and I imagine Venom and the Spider-Verse as well, which is really, really good for completionists like myself.
Yeah, I was going to say it's going to be Morbius, Venom 1, Venom 2. They're going to get all of it. So I was genuinely surprised when I saw that, because originally when we had talked about the Netflix deal, I thought that was kind of an exclusive, kind of like what you had previously in the past with Netflix and Disney. They would host it from, however long they had the actual contract running till, which for Netflix and Sony, it runs from 22 to 26. But they're only going to hold those properties, like you said, for 9 months. So, I mean, listen, from this point of view, Sony's just banking on the cash. I think at this point, if nothing else, Sony's basically said, we know we can't launch a streamer, we'll get smashed.
Yeah.
In this current, I mean, HBO Max is struggling in this current environment with all Warner Media and everything. Like, I think it was just announced in this last quarter, they only added 3 million extra subscribers or something ridiculous like that. Like, all of Zack Snyder's Justice League, Kong versus Godzilla, did nothing massive to help bump up the numbers. So I think Sony's looked at that and been like, there's no point, lads. Like, we just need to sell out. We just need to sell the rights off and get as much money as we can. And they know where they sit, you know what I mean? Like, they're not going to take on debt trying to launch a streamer. So, hey, fair play to them. If they know where they are and they just know how to get the most money out of it, that's what works for them. Fair play.
Yeah, and fair play for Disney Plus for jumping in there and not just abandoning it. They've got in there, and obviously they'll obviously have known the contract, and they're bringing all those properties to Disney Plus, which obviously we spoke about. We thought was just mad that they would allow their own films basically to be, the MCU films to be in the hands of their chief rival when it comes to streaming. And Disney, Netflix to be able to basically advertise that they've got Spider-Man when it's an MCU property. So they've obviously jumped in there, and I imagine they'll probably try and get that relationship to a point that when it comes to 2026, they get the exclusive deal and try and get it all lock, stock, and barrel, and make Disney Plus the home of streaming for Sony. And give it its own sort of, I imagine, maybe its own little channel on Disney Plus, and have it that way, because then I think what's interesting is, the WWE Network came out a few years back, and that basically was one of the big pointers of where everything was going, and this year they've basically sold that and put it all on Peacock. So they're getting the best of both worlds. They're effectively still keeping the WWE universe a streaming site, but it's housed by somebody else who has to pick up all the slack on that. So they've still got it. They point people into the direction of where it is, and both of them benefit from it. So maybe that's what Sony can do is piggyback on Disney Plus and be like, well, we do have. So I think at the moment over here as well, you've got Amazon Prime, but you've got Stars within it. So you go on Amazon Prime here and you have to pay more and you get Stars. Well, maybe what Sony can do is use Disney's platform and have their own channel. Like you've got a Marvel channel, like you've got a Disney channel, like you've got a Star Wars channel, etc., etc. Maybe they could do a deal so that there's a Sony channel, but also the likes of the MCU films still live within the Marvel channel as well. Because obviously it doesn't really matter, and that could be that could be a big winner for them. Someone else is housing the content, but you get the benefit, and you don't have to build that platform. That to me makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's always a classic thing like learned when I was in university. It's kind of like that build versus buy model. And Sony have effectively say, listen, we can't build it. We just can't. There's no way we compete. We'll get crushed. So they said, hey, listen, we'll just sell our stuff instead. And, obviously it's just more lucrative for them, and they they get more bang out of the buck that way, and
also
everyone else benefits from that. Like Disney Plus is a huge platform, like globally.
And also Disney Plus, certainly in Europe, you know, you haven't got it yet because you've got Hulu, but in Europe we've got anything can come on our Disney Plus, anything.
Yeah.
So you know
that Stars app is great.
You know the stars on it, you can bump the age thing on it to 18, so you have no code, and if it's not, you have to have a code to watch the more R-rated movies and stuff. So anything can go on it. So that makes sense, and maybe that's where Disney are going to try and push them towards. So that's so we'll probably get our first Disney Sony movies on Disney Plus 2022. Late
2022 probably. I think some of the Sony library, the existing library, is going to be moving over to Disney Plus in 2022 at some point. Like Amazing Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, all of that stuff will be moving over. I think likely Venom and stuff like that. But any of the newer movies you won't see until late 2022.
Yeah, and there's also talk this week, well, more than talk, that some Sony stuff might go on the PlayStation network as well.
I heard that, yeah.
Yeah, apparently they're trialing it in Poland because Poland doesn't have streaming sites for one reason or another. And it's going to be a trial to maybe be part of the PlayStation network essentially. So you get films included as well. So that's another place maybe they could sit. But interesting stuff. Disney are just hoovering up all the content.
So, absolutely. I mean, they're already a monolith in the streaming world, having taken over the globe.
But I like that though. I like the fact that Sony can go on there, but Sony can continue being its own thing. I like the fact that could work when Disney would be like, no, you're on here, but you're your own thing, because we have obviously for Disney and Sony, they have mutual. With having Spider-Man, it's mutually beneficial for both of them. So
and that's what I kind of hope it encourages the relationship between the two companies, so they can continue to work on this sharing Spider-Man deal, as far as like, you know, and maybe we see more of a crossover than just, you know, Spider-Man into Marvel and then some MCU characters into the Spider-Man films, like because there are. Spider-Man does have some,
and also what we might get then is some Spider-Man shows on Disney Plus. You know, some based on other character shows. You know what I mean? Some mini shows, 6 episodes on, I don't know, some character that you didn't think you wanted. So and they could live there.
I was going to say, and don't forget, Sony hired Lord and Miller for $900 million. To basically write a whole slew of Spider-Man related TV shows, and you know, we've been wondering for a long time, like, where is that going to end up? Yeah. So cool. I mean, there's still a chance that goes on Netflix for 9 months and then goes to Disney Plus.
Cool. Anything else from the news?
There was the Ted Lasso trailer. That was it.
Yeah, Ted Lasso. Anyone hasn't seen that show? That's amazing. Love Ted Lasso. This trailer didn't really give much away. So
kind of give you that feel good.
Yeah, it was great. It was like
watching it, like
the first season. It's so good. It's so.
Danny Rojas.
I was expecting
football is live.
I was expecting nothing from it, and I just got pure joy. It was amazing.
Yeah,
I loved it.
Well, I'm watching it with my wife right now, and it's just I'm still laughing at it. Like, it's just such a good show.
Also,
but I did not expect to feel feelings.
I know there are feelings. There are feelings in it.
Lots of feelings. Just
on the Apple TV as well. Mythic Quest, if anyone's watching that, it's definitely worth watching. That dropped an episode this week from season 1 and episode 11. Which I didn't know it was. I just watched For All Mankind, and I seen there was an extra episode. So if you're watching that, that's there. If you're not watching that, that's worth watching, especially if you've watched It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which is just, honest to God, the people in that show, I hate them all, but I love them all equally. They are the worst humans.
Have you seen The Nightman Cometh yet?
Oh, the Nightman's ridiculous. The Nightman is just the original song of it is just absolutely amazing. And then when they put it in the play, it's just goes up a level. But it's the original one. We're in the bar and they're singing it, and he's like, "Dude, I think you're talking about rape." And it's just like, "No." He's like, "Dude, you are." It's just like, oh my god. And then when they do the play, oh, it's just nuts. And when she's like, when Sweet D's singing about like what she wants to do to the little boy, it's just, oh my god. It's the show.
It's a sick show.
It is a sick show. But Mythic Quest is a bit tidier and a bit more what you'd expect. Like, it's just a little bit more tight. It takes all the same elements, but just tidies them up a little bit. So there's a new episode of that, and obviously, if you're not watching For All Mankind, it is so good. And this week's episode is just apps. I mean, we're talking about the like everyone's preparing themselves for the Falcon and Winter Soldier finale. We've got For All Mankind finale this week as well. And after last week, the last week's episode was probably a better cliffhanger than Falcon and Winter Soldier, if I'm honest. It was absolutely amazing. Like, it was like, without ruining it, oh, what's that guy doing up there? Like, oh my god.
You just see him and then it like, oh.
Not going to spoil anything.
Like, eyes are like, no.
No.
Yeah.
That's got no relevance for anyone, but it's For All Mankind is such a good show. Such
Apple
a good
Plus.
show. Honestly, Apple Plus, everything I've watched on Apple Plus has been amazing. Everything I've watched has been amazing. So
I still can't bring myself to watch that Jason Momoa one though.
No, I'm not watching anything about with Jason
or something
Momoa.
like that.
Yeah, I mean, I can take Riz Ahmed being deaf, but I'm not taking Jason Momoa being blind. No,
too far. You've
gone too
far.
Apple. You've gone too far with that one. I'm just thinking about the night, man. It's just amazing. Oh my god, the day man.
I was going to say, some people are putting lyrics in the
Hello, it's just amazing. It is just how those people come up with those things are just. It is basic. Just get Blad to come up with something that's funny. Let's create something off it. I was watching the one the other day where they decide they're going to go to the Grand Canyon with the trailer, and it's just, oh my god. It's just so fun. They're stopping every 2 minutes, and it's just like
it's. I was gonna say it's one of those things. It's so hard to describe because it just doesn't sound as good until you watch it. Like, you can never do it justice until.
And
you
it has
see
like
it,
the it has
Jesus.
it has what I call like the Simpsons Homer Simpson music. No, like do, no, like this the music like Homer has in his head when he's having like a dream. That's what that music just makes it, because it makes it all like it's everything's dead. Everything's dead pleasant, and they're just the worst people. Like this week, so I was watching like the Dennis way of dating women. It's just horrendous. It's just absolutely horrendous. It's just awful. When Dee's talking to a soldier and he gets off the bus and he's in a wheelchair and she pretends she's not here, and it's only because he's got a sprained ankle. And then she's all over. They're just horrible people. Absolutely horrible people. Oh, I love it. I love it. It's such a good show.
Great show.
Is that all the news? Is that all the news?
It's all the news. All the news.
Let's get into Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It is the finale tomorrow. Oh, like 4 hours. So if you haven't watched the 5th episode, then stop listening to the podcast and come back at a later time. But I expect most people have. But if you haven't,
it's been a week.
So let's get into it. The episode started straight after the end of episode 4. We've got Captain America. You're not Captain America. Who's just legged it away from severely killing somebody with his shield, only to be confronted. Well, when before he's confronted, his head's wrecked, isn't it? He's thinking about all the bad things he's done. But yeah, and then soon as Winter Soldier and Falcon turn up, he's like,
it's just like this like switch. Well, it's like a business. Second. Yeah, it's like just before they turn up, suddenly like it clicks in his head, and he's just like, all right, I've got that out of my system now. It's back to business.
And obviously they have the fight, and obviously they take back the shield, breaking his arm in the process, which I thought was brilliant. The wings got destroyed. The wings got passed off to Torres, who is.
I mean, I was gonna say even at one point, Winter Soldier gets his arm damaged, which was surprising.
Yeah, I've seen that before. Though I'm sure this. I can't remember what it was in, but I've seen it in something else where he got like his arm, something happened to his arm, and it like fixed itself. I can't remember what that was. But
was that Winter? I was gonna say, was that Winter Soldier?
It might have been, but it was like might have been his other arm, but it fixed itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
do you know? Wasn't it when Nat throws the disc on his?
Yeah,
his arm?
I think it was. Yeah. And obviously we get Torres takes the wings as well, so that's leading that into the idea that Torres could be the next Falcon.
Oh, yeah.
And then obviously the episode sort of just it tailed down then, didn't it? It started to it started to become a mixture of setup for the final episode and also just dealing with all those quieter plot points from, we obviously got the court martial.
Yep.
And these.
I understand the assignment.
Do you know what though? What I would say about that was I thought he was bang on about what he was saying in that though. I thought he was absolutely spot on. It was like you built me to be like a killing machine, and now you're crying because I killed somebody. Do you know what I mean? I thought he was absolutely spot on. Do you know what? I thought that was a really good sort of. I thought that was a really good sort of notion of what all soldiers have to go through. I mean, how many homeless soldiers do we see on the streets? But certainly in America, they're just Jesus Christ.
Well, I was gonna say it parallels with Captain America, the First Avenger. You've got the same thing. Essentially, what the bank hires him to sell war bonds.
Yeah,
because they don't want the soldier; they just want the face, the image, and it's almost like that's what they want.
Buy a bond, they buy a bullet, bing bang boom. That's what he said.
But with Wyatt Russell's character, with John Walker, like they almost wanted the symbol of Captain America without him having to actually be a soldier. But the difference is there with, Steve Rogers, he was the salesman before he was the soldier, and he had to go out and feel like he earned the right to be called Captain America, to earn the right to be a soldier. And he was always trying to earn that. Versus John Walker was the soldier turned symbol. So he was always trying to do it backwards, and he was a soldier first. And obviously, we know some of the stuff he'd gone through was truly quite horrific.
Yeah, he said in the episode before, John Walker though, didn't he? What he'd had to go through to earn the medals. But I did think that was a good.
Like the worst day of his life.
Yeah, I did think that was a good parallel on the way people do treat soldiers, regardless. They treated once they finished, there's no support for them, and people end up on the streets because everything that comes flooding back, the post-traumatic syndrome and all that kind of thing. So I thought he was spot on that, just in a general sense, because this show so far has been really good at hitting real world stuff. And then you get out John Walker as well with the cameo. We spoke about the cameo last week, and I'll be honest, I could have been there all week. I wouldn't have got this character. I just wouldn't have got this character. Close. Wouldn't have got anywhere near them. What did you think of the cameo?
Really good. I just wasn't expecting it, but as soon as they come in, you had the feeling of the gravitas of how she carries herself. You're like, oh yeah, this is going to open up a whole slew of different avenues, who's she working for, what's she recruiting for. It almost felt very Nick Fury, but with a tinge of Hydra.
Well, if anyone doesn't know, it was Julia Louis-Dreyfus playing Valentino Allegra. She has a longer name, like she said. who basically has been is a version of Nick Fury, is a shadowy version like Nick Fury. She says herself when she was sitting there, these people in these guys in ties don't like what's going on. They don't understand it. And she was working between the levels, wasn't she? She was like Nick Fury. And in the comic book, she's been quite a few things. She's been an operative for Shield. She was called
she dated Fury.
Yeah, she was called Madam Hydra for a while, but I think that
very brief time.
I was going to say, don't let that name fool you. She was also a Skrull. Which I think is quite interesting moving forward as well. I think the idea that she was a Skrull is quite interesting. What I really loved, I loved the way she spoke to him. She had so much confidence in herself, and she also knew.
So I mean that like gravitas she walked in, you know what I mean? She knows how to handle the situation.
I love the fact the way she give her card, which had nothing on it, to his wife without even looking at his wife. I just thought that was made like that was just a brilliant beat. It was just a brilliant it was just a brilliant she never broke eye contact with him when she's saying something. She's like whispering. She's just the way she whispered. It was just there's something so captive. Like I could have that in my ear, like as a to put me to sleep. It was so nice the way she done it. Like,
well, I was gonna say, and even with everything she knows as well, like she's fully aware. Like we know you're a super soldier.
Yeah.
Like we know you took it. Taking that serum was the smartest thing to do, and he's kind of like, how did you know that kind of thing? Like, and again, it plays into that whole backstory of her comic book character that she was a shield agent. Shield agents are supposed to know things that other people don't, especially someone like Nick Fury.
Yeah.
So it does set up a whole big background of like, okay, what are we setting her up for? Like, where is she coming from? Because you can take this character different directions.
Yeah, I think what I like it, she can literally, that character now can do anything it wants. David Gibson says maybe she's the one that puts the Thunderbolts together. No, I agree, and David Gibson also says, was the woman that spoke to John Walker about joining her the power broker. I don't know if she is going to be the power broker. I very much doubt it, because I feel like, why would you have those two characters being the same character? I think she is plausible deniability, isn't she? She is a shady person who, like, even when she said, my name's Val, but don't ever say it, just think it. Like, she was just basically saying, we've got room for you, but we're not gonna, you're not gonna be Captain America, but we have got a place for you. And that might,
which is it, I was saying that's that transition then from becoming US agent.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. That might be in the Thunderbolts later on. But, you know, we'll have to wait and see, because obviously what we saw at the end of the show basically points in the direction that he's going to be back in the final episode, and he might do something stupid. I'm
guessing her role in this is more like Maria Hill. Like, she's the equivalent to Maria Hill. Hill. Well, so Maria Hill reports to to Nick Fury. So you've got.
I see her as Nick Fury.
I think she's going to report to Ross. So that's now, while he's not a Nick Fury character, he's the boss. You know what I mean? He's the one working the operation, telling him where to go, and she's report.
I suppose he's not army as such anymore. He's got a governmental role, and he is
last we saw him, he was Secretary of State.
Yeah, he was, and obviously he is the guy who sets up the Thunderbolts. But I feel like she's the person who can do things without there being any accountability. So like a Fury, I see where you're going. Yeah, because like if Thunderbolt Ross does something, he is Secretary of State. There are consequences. She can do something because she's nobody. She doesn't have a name. She's off the books. She's off the books.
She's Black Ops.
You'll never find her. She's off the books, for God's sake. She's a
Where
ghost.
Is she? She's not in the book.
She's a ghost. She's a myth. She's it's like that thing where like the CIA agents always have the same name. It's like it's like we don't have any real names. No, I think that's what she is. She can be anything she wants, and it'll be interesting to see what they do with the character. So I thought that was dead interesting. We did obviously the scene with Zemo and with the Winter Soldier was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. It's just so good. I mean, I know we'd seen it in the trailer. They're dropping the bullets, but even when he put that gun to his head, and Zemo is just boss. He's just a brilliant character. Even that,
so well written.
But even that, the way he had the gun in his face and he just didn't even flinch. He was just like, "Yeah, this is my time," and I'm not even asked because like my kids are dead and my wife's dead. He's just like, "I'm not even asked," and he was. I thought that was really interesting. Something interesting I picked up this week is. Apparently in the trailer again, that shrine, for the dead. Apparently, it had all flowers around it, and again, that might
it did.
Apparently,
yeah,
that might be again pointing to the subplot of the pandemic that was supposed to be in it. Like, people would have put flowers there because it was this national place to grieve, national statue or whatever you want to call it, to grieve. And
I was gonna say, I think in the same scene though, it didn't look like, if you look towards the ground and around the surround, like, it didn't look like the CGI being like fully finished on it. Versus what we saw in the final product.
Yeah, so it looks like, again, sadly, we never quite got the full hit of this show. It's definitely been re-edited. And what's sad is, now that I know it's been re-edited, every scene, I feel like when I hear a voice off camera, I'm just like, is this real?
You're watching for it.
Yeah, I'm like, is this really happening? Especially with that Australian fella, because his voice is such a voiceover voice as well. His voice is proper voiceover material. So when he speaks, you feel like
Yeah. It's hard because when you just hear like the change in sound. It doesn't sound like it's being picked up in an outside room.
No,
like it's being picked up in a studio.
Yeah, it's such a clear. His voice is such a clear voice, and the Australian accent that it sounds like it's obviously been redubbed. But every time I hear, I just think it's been re-recorded over something else. Maybe it has. If anyone isn't aware, there was definitely another storyline to this show, which was based on a pandemic within the MCU, probably because so many people come back at once. It would have started some big infection, and I think the whole premise of the show was going to be about these people, the Flag Smashers, who couldn't get medicine and were getting treated like third-class citizens, and that's why they become the Flag Smashers, to get medicine. But because of the pandemic, they basically had to sideline it. So in a lot of the episodes, if you watch, there's been voiceovers dubbed onto people saying things, things are being edited. A lot of these things.
The very clear one is always to pick out if you can hear someone talking, but you're seeing the back of their head.
Yeah, or that's
a real clear indication.
Well, I think it's the second episode. You see Carly walking through the building, and there's this voiceover, and it just doesn't seem to be coming from anywhere. It just started outside, and it's still it's still there. So, but I just think that would have made the show so much better. Sadly, because I think there are plot points in it that just don't make sense because of it. But there you go. So we seen obviously he took the bullets out, and the Dora Milaje came and took him away. Which I thought was really interesting when they said we're going to take him the raft. I thought they would have took him to Wakanda.
That caught me off guard because I was like, that doesn't seem like something that Dora Milaje would do. Like, if they wanted true justice, they would be holding him in Wakanda under like the Wakandan government, handing him to the raft where he's supervillain. Yeah. Like, I don't know. It just seemed fishy because, again, it's controlled by whoever,
Well, obviously,
Thaddeus Ross.
He'll go there, and that's when he now becomes susceptible to being in, and that's good because we want to see him again. He's great. The actor's great. If anyone's
Loki style character.
Well, if anyone's seen Rush, where he's the Formula One film, and it's him and Chris Helmsworth, he's brilliant in that as well. Absolutely brilliant. So yeah, they took him, and then obviously then they said, do us a favour for us, one more favour. But I just like the line of like, don't show your face in Wakanda for a bit, lad. Do us a favour, stay off the...
Keep it on the down low.
Keep yourself in the Europe and America for now. Don't be coming down at our ways. Which was good because I just liked it. It was like that thing where it was like, yeah, I won't, don't worry. We've done what we've done, and this will be me little... I'll stay away for a little bit. And then basically it was all about Sam, wasn't it? About Sam going back, getting the boat, getting like people to help out to fix the boat, all the favours.
I was gonna say just before that we had the visit with Isaiah Bradley as well.
Oh yeah, well that's what I was gonna. I mean that was there was that as well. So obviously he went to Isaiah Bradley, didn't he, to get more of an idea of what had happened to him and get him more. And I thought this was a really interesting because again it was all about the real world elements and obviously listen. Yeah. Isaiah Bradley's bitter, but he's got every reason to be massively bitter because he, when he said about the story, like I went and saved the boys, and I got locked away from it, and it was like Steve Rogers basically his whole Captain America career was based on that. Before he went and saved the boys, he was like a no man who like he said it, didn't he? He was a performing monkey.
Yeah.
And that was the thing that made people go, oh no, this guy's legit. And yet when he done it, he's locked away and experimented on for 30 years. And in fact, he wouldn't have got out if it wasn't for one of the nurses. So again, that was a really good real life, distinction between the two characters, how different people get.
I was going to say it was the perfect example to show of privilege, white privilege.
Well, yeah.
And
I thought that was really good. And then even when he said like about the shield, and he was just like, those colours don't mean anything to me, and it just put that little, again, that doubt. Whereas what I thought was really interesting, he'd been doubting we'd been seeing him doubting whether he should take it, because for us it was like, am I worthy of it? But there's also that element of, how can I take it because I'm a black man? Not because I don't deserve to take it, but maybe like, what all the reasons he was thinking.
I was going to say it's the polar opposite. Is the shield worthy of Sam?
Yeah. Well, that's always what he's thought, and then obviously with them, basically saying no self-respecting black man would ever take that shield because of what it's done, because what the country's done to us. And I thought that was really interesting, and obviously, especially with this week in America and stuff, where everything that's happened over the trial of over the murder of George Floyd, I thought it was really, really interesting. And even stuff today, I've seen a video today where 2 kids are riding a bike and the police start basically saying they're going to shoot them if they don't stop, and it's just 2 kids riding a bike and stuff. That would never, in what world would that happen to 2 white kids? You know what I mean? It's just like, the world's so madly unbalanced even now. I mean, and it won't change. It won't change.
Terrific.
So I just thought I thought it was brilliant, and he left them with a lot of food for thought. I thought, because it, like you've just said, it went from being, am I worthy to it, to what the hell am I doing? Why should I do it? And it was obviously well crafted. And the only thing I would say about those scenes, it was just a little bit disappointing that we didn't get to see any clips of him. As like the version of Captain America. I think a lot of people want to see that, don't they? They want to see this. Like, did he have? I don't imagine he had a suit. I don't imagine he had anything. I just thought it was really, really interesting. Disappointing. Sorry, that we didn't get that.
Yeah, it would have padded it out quite nicely just to have that like flashback period. So yeah, absolutely. And
then obviously, as I said before, we then got Sam going back to the boat, reconnecting with the family. Bucky coming down as well, which was really good, because that they then become like that was the little thing, wasn't it, where they were like, right, we're going to be mates now. Like, we've danced around this for ages. We're actually going to be mates, and
it's time to start the bromance.
Yeah, and then you got them both training with the shield, and
little montage.
Yeah, a little montage, and then you got the little scene with them, like with Bucky saying, I'm going to stay, and not going to stay, sorry, and then he was like, no, just stay on the couch, blah blah blah. The kid, and then you seen that little nice scene with him on the couch, and the kids playing with it, and the kids respected it. I thought that was interesting as well. Give you that little alternative view on what the shield could mean to people, which I thought was really good. And then those two just like starting to sort of chat about it all, and
yeah, because I mean they have that conversation where Bucky says to Sam, and says like, when we, and it was interesting because he said, when me and Steve first talked about giving you this, we didn't realize what it would be like for a black man to have a shield. How could we? Yeah, we're 2 white guys. You know what I mean? Like,
it's a really good point.
Yeah.
But while they were there as well, you obviously got the scene as well with John Walker going to see Lamar's family, and I thought that was dead interesting as well, because when they were fighting and he was like, I had to kill him, he killed Lamar. It was like, he didn't kill Lamar. And then when they went to see the mum and dad, it was like, he killed, like, I got the guy who killed him. It was like, but you didn't get the person he killed it. And he was like, is that how it happened? Like, he started to justify to himself that that's what happened. and it clearly didn't. And I'm not saying like he's trying to convince himself, but he's lying because he knows it. If he was to say, no, I didn't kill the person who killed him, I just killed some other guy who was there, then suddenly that becomes a really bad thing. And he's got to keep the story straight in his own head.
Yeah, and I was going to say, in another aspect as well, like it at least gives the family like some sort of closure and peace, so he can walk away and, you know what I mean, kind of like that's his burying his friend. Like that's how he does justice to that.
But he's convincing himself, and I think by convincing himself, that bitterness is gonna be there within him, like that because he thinks he's Captain America. He thinks he's earned the right to be Captain America. Whammy Spoon says Bucky's gonna be Cap. I think he's not. He's not going to be Cap.
Sam,
100%. And obviously,
that's all the setup for the show is being Sam wrestling with the weight of should I, shouldn't I, and like you've seen both elements of that now. Like you just said, not only am I worthy, is it kind of worthy of me?
Well, the thing, what we've seen in the last couple of weeks is what actually it takes to be Captain America, and we've had the Captain America taking the serum, and then we've had a guy who hasn't got the serum, and it's the guy who hasn't got the serum is more like Captain America. Zemo said it. He was like, when they were talking about the super serum, and they were like, he was like, Steve wasn't like that, and Zemo said, there's never been another Steve Rogers, and that's where he nailed it. Every version of, and then even Isaiah was like, look what it had done to him taking the super serum. Every version of everyone who took the super serum, they're not right for one reason, and it's actually the person who hasn't taken the super serum that is the rightful heir, because it's not about being super strong and all that. Because obviously he got, Bucky turned up with the gear from Wakanda. That's going to be his new suit. That's going to be his new Falcon Captain America suit, and obviously it's going to have vibranium himself. So it's going to have a lot of gadgets in it, and it's going to have all kinds of little things in it. No, Whammy Spoons, he does in the comics, he has the shield, mate. He has it. It's part of his suit. But again, there was a line in this as well when he goes to do something on the boat, and he says, well, why didn't you just use your vibranium arm? He's like, I didn't even think about it because I'm right-handed. It's like and that's like the shield as well. Yeah. Just because you have it doesn't mean you have to use it. It has to fit in with everything else, and I think that's what the shield will do when he gets his new suit. But when he gets his new suit and it is vibranium, it's not about being the strongest guy in the room. Sam's already proved himself as a great fighter, and obviously he's got all the tricks. And what we've seen in this season is how he uses the suit and the wings to like just generally fight people, never mind flying around. So he is.
I was going to say, and now this suit is going to be a massive upgrade, because it's going to be one you've just said, vibranium, so it's super strong, and what it can. No one's going to be able to rip the wings off it like they did with his old suit. So you've got that element, but it's also going to come with all that extra Wakandan technology. Like we've already seen like some of those elements.
And it'd be interesting to see whether it's like a proper full suit or whether it's like Black Panther, where it comes in like some kind of small
like
unit.
The nanotech.
So he's basically, what we've seen in the last few episodes is just like he's got all these different people telling him all these different things, but a lot of them have got the same problem, is that they've all got the whole super serum. And he doesn't have that burden of it. He's just a really good fella.
It also, like, one of the things that, like, I think gets forgotten about as far as Captain America, it's that ability to be a leader, to inspire others. And Sam is that, like, and we've seen those elements within the show. Like, he was a grief counselor to forgotten vets.
Yeah.
He knows people who are disenfranchised, are forgotten about by the government, and how to talk to them and get through to them. So you've got that level of empathy that he can reach people. Like he knows how to.
Well, he's a symbol, isn't he? He's a symbol for good. And that's why Bucky's like. That's why Bucky can't be Cap, because he's got
too many demons.
He's got too many. Yeah, and he'll be to him what I imagine what he was to Cap. I imagine, Steve Rogers. He'd be the guy who backs him up and helps him out, because that's what he did to Steve. And don't forget, in the first Avengers, he was a sniper that took someone out who was about to shoot Steve, and that's the classic gif of him saluting him. He was the sniper, and the roles were suddenly in Winter Soldier, he's the sniper trying to shoot him, and he obviously shoots Nick Fury in his apartment. So, it's he'll be there for him, but he doesn't need to be a super soldier, because it's not about him being a super soldier. It's just about him being. Don't forget, Tony Stark got on quite nicely with good tech. Tony Stark was the first modern Avenger. He didn't have any superpowers. He just had good tech. And if Sam has good tech and everything, he's learned and everything, and he's a good fighter, then he'll be good. And you've seen him. You've seen him doing the montage and learning to catch the shield and all that kind of thing, and
he got to play frisbee. That was nice.
And the nice little when he had the top on, the top was red and blue, and those kind of things, and his nephews were made up, so it showed that he could be the symbol to take it forward and change the views on it and stuff, and be his own man. So.
And that was important with the kids, because I feel like that speaks to a larger thing. Like you said before with the Bucky thing, like having Sam be a black man as Captain America, it's that amazing representation.
But also when he's running round and the kid shouts Uncle Sam, like it doesn't get any more American than that, does it? So that was good as well. And obviously Bucky went home and stuff. He's got his own demons to sort when he gets back to his home. But obviously we got the bit with Sharon Carter as well, getting in touch with Baton Leaper, Batroc the Leaper, who had basically, he was in obviously episode 1, and that was a job for her, which is interesting. And then she got him out of jail, and she set him up with another job, which was to be the muscle for Carly in New York, where they're going to try and take down the this new organisation, which is...
Was it the GRC?
Yeah, this new organisation, which is in charge of the refugees, and they're just about to vote on what they're going to do with all the refugees. And that guy who still hasn't got a title...
It's like a senator, isn't he?
Well, there's literally no title for him. He's the one who obviously thanked Sam for giving back the shield and stuff and introduced new Cap. But he's got no title, and he was also there at the hearing for the new Cap as well.
Well, and that's kind of what led me to believe he's one of those political levels.
Yeah, of course he is, but he's got no title. That's what's really interesting. He's not in. There's no title, no name for him in the show. And he was so he was at this hearing. He was just basically like, "Why are we voting? Let's just get this done." And obviously, so that's going to be the big fallout in this episode. It's going to be they're going to attack that building. She basically pressed the app, got everyone there who disenfranchised people. They're going to jump in on that. They already had 2 security guards in the room that started the panic, and it's going to
say I love that little Hydra inspired one world, one people, kind of like the the code word, as far as to say we're on the same team kind of thing.
Yeah. So they obviously shut the room down, and the flag smashers are coming for them. Sam's going to be going to them. He's got his new suit. Bucky will be joining in, and Captain America, John Walker, will be joining in as well. It's all just going to happen in New York. This big fight scene. So it's going to be interesting to see whether whether the Falcon turns up obviously straight away in the new suit and takes over the mantle. And obviously going back to what Val had said, which was really interesting as well, when she said to John Walker, the shield, they don't own the shield. The shield's got a complicated history, because the shield is Tony Stark's, made with stolen vibranium from Wakanda, and it's not the original shield. The original shield got smashed up. It got cut in half by Thanos, and this is a new shield taken from an alternative universe. So no, you don't own that shield, mate. So, and she basically was like, so this is Falcon, and Falcon will proclaim himself the new Captain America, and that'll be the end of it, because obviously the other one is disgraced. And I imagine it'll be...
I was to say, John Walker's got a dodgy new one as well.
Well, yeah, and obviously that was the...
made with a box of scraps.
That was the... See, what was funny about that was I thought he would be making a scene... you seen him making the shield, but I thought it was going to be like a black one that represented the colours from his comic book, but it wasn't. It was obviously a stainless steel or something, one which is going to be crap. It's not going to fly. It's going to be just useless, basically, and it's going to be interesting to see how he. So I'm thinking that what's going to happen to him is he's going to get caught, basically, and he's going to get thrown in the raft because basically they've let him off, they've let him go. And he's going to turn up and he's going to probably punch that fella out, the senator guy, whoever he is, and then he's going to end up in the raft, and then when he goes to the raft, he'll be in with everyone else, and that's when the Thunderbolts will be created, I imagine.
That is a pretty solid guess. I mean, it's basically like Arkham Asylum, right? Like you've got a collection of like the worst people, and then like, hey, we need a job that's off the books. So you need a team that isn't afraid to go in and do the dirty work. And is
that how they talk, is it?
That's how they talk, like old school mobsters. Yeah. Hey, see here,
man, we're going to get you out the police. We'll take 5 years off your sentence. Yeah, I think, you're right. They'll go in there, and then obviously it is like the Suicide Squad, essentially. Yeah. They'll knock time off the sentence, so... for doing the jobs, and obviously he's got a set of skills that people want. So is Zemo, and it'd be interesting who else ends up in there. It'd be interesting to see what the fate of the Flag Smashers is. Whether they keep. What's interesting, like a character like Carly, is that she's got super serum in it. So inside, so it'd be she's a valuable commodity, isn't she?
Yeah.
But also, it's going to be interesting what the fate of Sharon Carter is, and whether we get
that was a big one this week.
Yeah, and whether we get the fate of whether we find out who the power broker is, or whether it's just going to be one of those secrets, or whether it's going to be something we just see in the after. You know, I could imagine that we're gonna. I could honestly picture a scene in after the episode's done, when in the credits, where we get like Thaddeus Ross on the phone to whoever, saying so-and-so is coming to the raft. You know, John Walker, lock him up, and then him picking up another phone and him talking to Sharon Carter or whoever else, and he's the power broker on the other line. I really can.
So here's my theory, and I'm circling all the way back from the Shang-Chi trailer.
Okay.
This is why I think that trailer was released before the finale, is that we've been introduced to like a Wenwu character who is rumored to be playing like a version of the Mandarin, or being the Mandarin, and I think that is going to be his daughter, Shang-Chi's sister,
the
power broker, or it's basically like the Mandarin. He has control, because you've got this lawless city of Madripoor. We know Madripoor is rumored to
that's going to be in it, isn't it?
Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
So who would rule over Madripoor? You've got to imagine it's some criminal element. Do
you know what I think will rule?
Go on.
Girls, they rule the world. Girls, they rule the world. That's how I think it'll be. Beyonce. Whole time. The whole time.
I saw a very interesting theory this week that it was Hammer. Justin Hammer.
Hammer time.
Iron Man 2.
No, I'm not having that.
Because he escapes and he's a criminal.
He's an idiot. He's not having that.
I want to see him back. I
do want to see him back, but he's an idiot.
Because I think if you're gonna what's your take on it? Does the power broker have to be someone we know, or is it better to have a new character?
I don't even want to see the power broker. I honestly don't want it to see. I just want it to be this shady thing in the background that we don't see, because sometimes
like the bad guy in Inspector Gadget.
Yeah, the reveal can never live up, especially as we haven't had it. So how can it be really, unless see I think the whole Sharon Carter thing quite interesting. That's a bit of a red herring, because number one.
Oh yeah. I don't think she's connected in the way people think.
But number one, if she is connected, then fair play. She got left for dead. Do you know what I mean? She got left for dead. She deserves to. She's having to survive, and she's using her skill set to survive in a dodgy place. She's doing what she has to do. So you've got that version of it, or you might have another version where, like we said the other week, Once CIA, always CIA, and she's deep undercover because because she actually has nothing else to. She's got no one to go back to. She's been living in this place. She's been living this role, and to get close to the power broker because the power broker is such a big person. So maybe that's what she does, and maybe she's so deep in. You might see like you might see a scene where she's on the phone to the power broker, and she doesn't know who she's talking to because she's never met him, but she's just trying to get closer and closer and closer. And it is Ross. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, I was going to say, it's interesting because she never says that she has. It's Zemo who's never met the power broker. Talks about it.
No.
So, like, I imagine Sharon must have.
But I imagine, though, if she is undercover, her job will be to uncover the power broker. And if she hasn't, if she's still there, then she hasn't done it yet. So, and she's just trying to get him out. David Gibson says Abomination is on the raft. He is. Do you think he will be a Thunderbolt? Yes, I do. The Abomination is coming back for... Is it...
She-Hulk.
She-Hulk, yeah. So he's coming back. And
because you need a Hulk-type character, and I don't think we're going to get... Like, in the comics, there's a version of Red Hulk, which is played by Thaddeus Ross. I don't think we're going to get that, so I think Abomination's the easiest route to go.
And Whammy Spoon says Shane Rockwell wasn't Sam Rockwell. I didn't think his face was Shame.
Oh,
it says Shane Rockwell was wasted and Mickey Rourke. I don't think he was wasted. I think it was. I think she's. So I think he was a good character. Funny enough, I was watching him tonight. I was watching Jojo Rabbit, which he's amazing in.
He's so good in that.
Mickey Rourke was awful. He is awful. He's a terrible actor. He's made one good film and lived off it ever since. Yeah. So it's going to be really interesting, this final episode. It's got a lot of things. It sort of not. I mean, it hasn't got lots to tie up because a lot of people will be in the same place. But it'll just be interesting to see if we do get anything with Ross, and we do find out who the power broker is, and if it's Sharon Carter is what she is. But obviously we're gonna get Sam in the suit. We're gonna get it all kicking off in New York. We're probably gonna get Bucky telling his mate that he killed his son, and to just close his loop, so he finally gets peace and can, and so I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be hopefully it'll be a good fulfilling episode. And it will wrap the series off well, because I know there are people out there who are a little bit still dubious about it. Think it's a bit up and down. I think it is a bit up and down, but I think it's because a lot of it has had to be rewritten and
on the fly.
Yeah, and obviously refilmed. So I think it has been up and down because of that reason. A lot of things have had to be connected together, which maybe weren't, or taken out, and then you're trying to close that. It's really hard if you think about it. If you've got a story and you're trying to complete the story by cutting bits out of it, and those bits fill in the gaps, it's really difficult. So I think they've done a good job. I'd love to have seen the original version of it. Obviously something we're never going to get, and obviously being a company like Disney, I don't think they could ever have done that in this climate. So, because a lot of people would have jumped on the backs and stuff. So, it's been good, and I'm really looking for. Because what's great about it, you think about it, what happens in this last episode really takes us the story forward, but Falcon will become the new Captain America, and that's not like a thing like John Walker where it's like a short-lived thing. He is the new Captain America, which is, you think about it, that's huge. That's a huge thing for the MCU and for culture, on its own.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, we've said it many times on this show, is the fact that right now the Avengers are disbanded. Like, Tony's gone, Cap's gone, Steve Rogers. I guess we're gonna have to start calling them now. Like, you've got all these different elements, like Captain Marvel's off world. Doctor Strange is doing Doctor Strange things, so they're all kind of separated. So You need a figure that's unlike, again, most of these Avengers, they know Sam. Like, they're aware of him. They're aware of his connections with Steve Rogers. So he's someone who could start to pull people back in.
Couldn't even get a bank loan.
Fantastic.
Couldn't even get a bank loan. They'll all be queuing up to give him bank loans now. His credit will be amazing.
No one's going to want to turn away Captain America.
That boat will be amazing. Not when he can cut them in half with his vibranium wings.
Whoopsh.
It'd be amazing.
I was going to say, do you have any expectations for after credits? Is there anything you'd like to see?
I do believe that after the credits will be for Thunderbolts. Genuinely. I think it'll genuinely, or it'll be something to do with the Skrulls for Secret Invasion. But I do genuinely believe it's going to be for Thunderbolts. Setting up that initial idea. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't think he's going to be sitting in a t-shirt that says a Thunderbolts on. But I do think he's going to be like, you're just going to see him walk into the main room where obviously we've seen Robert Downey Jr., Tony Stark in Civil War. And he's just going to basically look at everybody who's in there. And I think we might get a couple of cameos. It'd be interesting whether Tim Roth's in there. And basically just look at them all and be like, I don't know, who wants to, I don't know.
I was going to say, I'd like it if nothing was said. He walks up to one of the cells in particular and you don't see anything other than his reflection, and you see his like mustache, and that's it. Because then you just know, like, you don't see him from behind, like,
possibly,
figure. Walks up and you just see the reflection of this like mustache, and you're like,
the only thing
it's a Thunderbolt.
The only thing about that is, though, that's the raft is his, so you'd expect him to be there. I'd like him to go and be like, who wants a job?
Something clear.
I don't know whether he's got like a classic catchphrase or anything from the comics or something, but it would just be interesting to see him sitting there being like, right, let's go to work or something, or I've got a job for you guys or something, or just something that where everyone goes, yeah, the Thunder, without going, we're gonna be the Thunderbolts, ladies and gentlemen. Something where he's like, who wants a job, or who wants to go to work, or whatever.
I'm putting together a team.
Yeah, even something like that. I'm putting together a team or something. Something actually that's reflective of what Nick Fury said. Yeah,
same parallel.
Yeah, something that parallels it, but with all bad guys. You know what I mean? So I'm hoping there's something like that. I imagine it'll be after credits. Because obviously we got a couple of after credits, didn't we, for WandaVision? So, yeah.
And it's interesting because this show originally was supposed to be out August 2020, which would have been before WandaVision as well.
Yeah, and also there was chat that Val was set to appear in Black Widow as well.
Mm-hmm. I heard that.
So be interesting to see whether we still get that. Yeah, be interesting because obviously,
I was going to say that. Well, you were going to say the same thing.
I was going to say Ross is in that, and he's obviously playing a younger version of himself when they were probably the early part of the film when they had a family in America, in deep cover. So he probably comes looking for them, and that's what either spooks them or whatever. I don't know, or whatever. So, yeah. That's gonna be, and that I don't know whether that's gonna be. I don't know. Maybe that's when the Black Widow goes over to America. When it goes over to being an agent in it for America or for what for Shield or whatever. So, but I do think he's gonna show up. Yeah, we'll see. It's basically, if you're watching this live, it's out in 4 hours.
Yes, can't wait.
There you go. Couple of quick questions. I'll have a little look here. Bobby C says, surely Mindhunter is not pure fiction as it's based on real people. Bobby, it's one of those shows where the non-fiction is weaved in around the fiction story, if that makes sense. So obviously none of the characters are in it are real, but they are weaved around the real story. So it's saying in the second season, it's about a real case in Atlanta with these kids going missing, a lot of boys going missing, and it's not like none of the people in it are the FBI agents are real, but it's about trying to catch this real serial killer, and they've never caught him. But it's about the techniques. Honestly, just watch it. It's really, really good. It's really, really good.
I was to say I've got a recommendation for if anyone's looking for something. Check out Invincible on Amazon Prime. It's a very good adult animation show about superheroes, but it's boss.
And Matty Lamb says gutted we'll have to wait over 2 months for Loki after the Falcon finale. We will. We've got
Bad Batch.
We've got the Bad Batch 4th of May, but obviously that's an animation, Star Wars animation, which a lot of people will like, but obviously it's not the same as a live action show for Marvel, so we will have to wait. And obviously without having Black Widow as well in May is going to be, for the first time since January, we're going to get a barren period in the year. I don't know how we're going to live.
I'm curious for the making of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier next week to see if they address the whole pandemic storyline.
Yeah.
I imagine maybe they might gloss over it, but
I don't think they'll address it in the making of. I think you will get a couple of articles coming out from people, from the producers and stuff, just basically going through why they didn't do it and maybe just addressing it. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. We'll have to wait and see. But there you go. This has been the Nerds Social Club podcast for another week, which is good. Which is all good. We've been live on YouTube. Thank you if you've been watching. Thank you for commenting. But also thank you if you're listening via the podcast as well. If you want to join us on our Discord where we talk about all these things day in, day out, we have spoiler tags, so not to ruin it for anyone who hasn't seen any of the shows or anything, certainly for shows like The Falcon and Winter Soldier, then jump on there as well. If you want to find out how to go on our socials, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, get on there. It is at Nerds Social Club, and we will point you in the direction of the Discord, which is free and is absolutely fantastic. So yeah, for another week, that is us, and we will see you all later. Bye.
Peace.